Welcome into PM in the AM, but today it's PA in the AM, whatever, however you want to work it out. I'm Big Al. He's Pat Bernard. Mike Laro is off for the day, I think. We'll figure it out later. And we got plenty of Philly sports to talk about. Pat, what's going on, brother?
What's going on, Al? Al, happy Father's Day to you and the rest of the social media world. Yeah, there is a lot to dive into. The Phillies look like they're back on track, and we're going to dive into some Eagles news surrounding the Philadelphia Eagles, rather, and of course the NBA and NHL Stanley Cup predictions. How are you enjoying all that stuff? But first, Al, like I said, top of the hour. It is Father's Day, right? We got to honor our dads, who brought us into this world and all that stuff. Al, do you have a great sports story that you and your old man share?
So, my dad is not a sports guy. I always tell people that they're surprised to hear this, but my father is not a sports guy. My grandfathers were, my uncles were, but my dad just was never his thing. And I actually respected that because you know what? When anybody asks me a question like this, the first thing I tell them is I loved the fact that my dad wasn't a sports guy for one reason. It would be nice to, enjoy a game with him and the highs and the lows, which we did. We, when the Super Bowl happened, in 2017, and then again this year, we were together. And he was excited with me, not as excited as I was, but excited with me and for me. But growing up playing sports all my life, there wasn't a day I wasn't part of some team or two teams, maybe even three teams at times to the chagrin of my parents. But my father, not knowing much about sports, not getting as invested into it as some parents, as we've seen, do a little bit too much over the years. That actually made my sports fandom, my sports, my athletic days better because he was there to cheer me on, but he wasn't there to put extra pressure on me. And that was always and because I had plenty of friends whose dads put like some severe pressure on them, lived like they were watching the Phillies or watching the Eagles, Flyers, or Sixers play. So that's always been kind of a good thing in my eyes. You there, Pat? I think I might have lost Pat for a second, or he's slowed up a little bit. So while Pat figures out his internet issues, Noom's jumping in here. School question: what would you like to get your dad the most for Father's Day? My son, a growth pill. Yikes, man, that could have been taken so many. Jeez. Wow, Nooms. I would have loved to have been a teacher that day. Just to, how do you keep a straight face on that one? How do you keep a straight face on that one? How would you like a growth pill? I don't know. Is your son that much bigger than you, Nooms? I would love to know. Adam, happy Father's Day to you as well. And to, like Pat said before we lost him in the internet wise, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there in, anybody listening, Philadelphia sports, all that stuff. Happy Father's Day to them. But so like Pat kind of alluded to, and believe me, I answered his question. I'm sure he'll be back to answer his part of the question. But if you guys have any Father's Day moments you want to share in here, please do so. We will add them in. You're 5'6". Wow. I would have never. I mean, I guess I've never met you in person, so I wouldn't know. But how tall is your son, and how old is your son that he said that? That's the other thing I would love to know. How old is your son that came out? That's funny. So let's talk about your fighting Phils for a moment. And I know it's like I said, it's been a little while. I was on here Wednesday afternoon for a little bit of a later past the game Fighting's final. Phillies win over Chicago, win a series, and I kind of said, you, this is what you need. This is what you call a bounce back for when you're having a slump like they did. But they already won the series against Toronto, who's a little above 500, and then they just beat Chicago, just beat Chicago in a 3-2 in the series. That's back.
There I am. Yes, yes. So yeah, Al, and the reason why I'm sorry for I know I was dealing with some things on my end. Like I said, Father's Day is an important day for me. My dad, like I said, took me out. Like I said, a notorious day. My old man liked to fish a lot, especially summertime. Like to take me out fishing. I caught a duck. I caught a duck,
I feel
and
I feel the
well,
day
he
you were
turned to my
born, your
brothers,
father said the
turned
same
to my
thing.
mom, and said, "This one should have been a job," and I'm going to leave it there. So,
I feel
oh
your dad said
God,
the
I got
same
to deal
thing
with
when
this
you were
internet
born.
issue.
Oh, geez. All right. So he'll take care of that, Pat. I'll take it for right now. So, guys, like I was saying, um, you know, I know we kind of blast this team a lot, and believe me, the 10-ish plus games that before the Chicago series, they deserved every last second of it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this team didn't deserve any backlash that this fan base gave. And I'm not sitting here telling you that the way this team is constructed, that we're ready to go. Not saying that, but these are the kind of things that a team needs to turn around and get some more productivity out of some players. There is some players who are not playing well, and there's some players we know who can play better. I'm not being wishful and hoping for players to play above their level. I'm hoping for players to play to their level. We're seeing a little bit of a resurgence from JT recently in a short sample size. So that's a plus. That's what we want. That's what you need. You have to, we roast them when they lose. We even roast them a little bit when they win, and we saw that. We went 9-1 in 10 games, and we went 1-9 in another set of games. But Chicago series, I think you have to give them a little bit more credit on the Chicago series too, for the fact that team was struggling. I mean, mightily struggling. I thought that Chicago series was going to be just a slaughtering, just an absolute slaughtering. Like the way this team was playing, this lifeless, just not being part of it. Just seeming like they're out of it totally. It's tough. It's tough to watch a little bit, and I literally thought Chicago was just going to come in here and thump us, and then it was going to be the sky's falling, and we need to sell the farm or sell what we have now and move on past 2025 already. I mean, I don't know if I would have went that far, and I don't think the Phillies would either. But I mean, you're still missing one of your starting pitching rotation guys in Aaron Nola. You're still missing Bryce Harper. You're able to win the series against Chicago, which was a good series. I mean, it was a good series. It was back and forth a lot, very playoff-like. I mean, they're like second in the NL in the record, right behind the Mets. So, I mean, you have to take that for what it's worth. And you have to give them credit where they were able to come back. And then they have Toronto here. And Toronto, like a few games above 500 now, like 2-3 games above 500 right now. And you've won the series already. Hopefully they don't look past this is a getaway game, or look to the next day. Because I'm trying to see, I think they go to Miami tomorrow. Yeah, so they're headed off to Miami for tomorrow. So I'm hoping they don't look at this as a getaway game. I hope they use this and they continue to fight more and play the way we know that a lot of these players can. Losing Nola, losing Harper, big thing. Like to see what Otto Kemp. I was really a little bit shocked that they even brought him up. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not. This team needs to find some bullpen help. There's 3 guys in the bullpen I like. I think are really good. I just need some, maybe 4. Tanner Banks. Like Tanner Banks is a B player in my eyes. Like not like he's lesser. He's just that he can play well, but he has his moments. Definitely love to see what I'm seeing from Orion Kirkering. Seeming a lot better. Uh, Came in clutch yesterday. Yeah, Kepler did. Like Kepler's another guy who has a lot, and he was kind of a gamble. Like I didn't hate the signing of him. I didn't hate how much they paid him. I would have loved to see more production by him already, but I mean the guy missed most of the year before with injury, so I don't know. It takes time in a new city and in a fan base that we expect excellence. We do. I mean, we are very, very tough to deal with in that sense. So we'll see. Noom saying going 1-9 and 9-1 the same season gives me bad Flyers vibes, but I'm glad to see Crawford back. I get it. I get it. And, in essence, if you look at a 20 game span, they were 500. I mean, yeah, but 1-9 and 9-1. And guess who they're also going 9-1 against was one of the big problems people had that, they only play against bad teams. Good. But no, they didn't because they lost to Toronto right after that. Who was I say mediocre, maybe a little above average team, which they are right now. They lost to Pittsburgh after beating Pittsburgh. So, I mean, it's again, I'm not going to sit here and feed you a bunch of crap saying this team, the way it's constructed, is good to go. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that.
No, and I want to jump in, and I know I'm a little late to the conversation. And listen, that's I don't understand. Like a lot of people, because what happened last week, they lost to the Pirates, right? Listen, they hit a wall. This team hit a wall. The front management knows me. They brought up Otto Kemp. The kid's starting to swing well. I mean, look at this week, right? They put away the Cubs. The Cubs were number 2 in the NL overall, behind the Mets. Yep. Number 2. The Phillies won 2 out of 3 against them. The Phillies now are faced against a Blue Jays team who were number 4 in the AL and took care of business. And you want to know why? The supporting cast of this Phillies team has stepped up. Brandon Marsh, who's been grinding out, hits. 7 hits, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. JT Realmuto, 7 hits, 1 double, 4 RBIs. You could go to Alec Boehm, 7 hits, 1 home run, 6 RBIs. So the supporting cast is stepping up in a major way. And, last week I was harping on sloppy, but now I got to throw the guy his rose petals because the supporting cast has stepped up in a major way. And you have to be happy with the results that you're getting.
Yeah, Pat, you're breaking up a little bit there again, but yeah, no, I understand. You have to be happy in the moment, just like I could play. Like, listen, when the team's going real well and they're 9-1 against good teams, bad teams, you need to ride the wave as much as we've talked about. As much as when they're 1-9 against bad teams, still nonetheless, and they choke and they look bad and like you said, they're sloppy, but and I know we get on these guys. We talk about how much they're paid, and we talk about how much that that they should, with the salary that the Phillies churn out, that there should be constant production. But we could pay people all we want. We could pay Pat to flap his wings, but if he jumps off the building, he ain't flying. You know what I mean? Like that it doesn't matter about paychecks as far as I'm concerned. It matters about ability, and this team does have the ability. They are probably missing a couple holes to be plugged, and I'll stand by what I said in the past. Like, I think they can plug the holes if done right, but it's a big if with Dombrowski and other players and things along those lines. Mike Papernick here saying the Phillies team needs to get a power bat, as this Harper injury seems to look like it could be lingering outside and outside of Schwarber. Who else scares you in the lineup? Well, consistency-wise, Bryson Stott has. I mean, we were really high on him, couple shows back, Pat, and we were very high on Bryson Stott, but he's another guy. And I'm not talking about being power bat. I really don't want another power bat. I want a pray and spray kind of baseball player. You know what I mean? I want a guy who's just going to hit the ball all over the field and and timely hitting too.
Well, that's the thing, though. Everybody's looking for. I get it. Citizen Bank Park it's meant for home runs. It's meant for the power bats, right? And really, Kyle Schwarber is your consistent power bat. However, you're getting guys on base. You're driving in runs now. So, I mean, the guys are splitting the gas, going up the middle with their timely hitting, driving the balls, turning, to at the warning track. I mean, guys are playing very, very well. And to flip it on defense, the infield, the outfield defense has been really lights out for this baseball club.
Yeah, no, and again, here's another thing I said earlier. I think you weren't on the time. I said, hey, Mike Pappernik. I don't believe losing Nola is a huge loss with Sanchez, Luzardo, and Suarez. Yes, I agree with you. At the moment in time, they're able to combat having not having Nola. I mean, Sanchez. I don't know how well he'll do in the postseason right now. I mean, he couldn't. We'll see. Luzardo has not much postseason background. So you say that, but we should be a little worried about it. And the other thing is,
well,
Suarez could have been a guy who could have been on the trade deadline and could have grabbed us some good players. So there is a loss somewhere. Might not be directly, might be more indirectly.
Well, and now I got to ask you. So now I've been, my mind ponders about this baseball team. It's been pondering. One,
God, is that the smell?
Yeah. It's not just the fried bacon that's going on in my kitchen right now. It's my brain. So I got to ask you. I mean, do you think this Nola, quote unquote, leg sprain it was just a cover up? Do you feel like he's not there and they know this? That, off the field is like his velocity ain't the same at what it was. And all that, like the tools of Nola ain't right. So they're just going to hold off about this quote unquote leg injury. And number two, where does Harper now fit in? Like if what you have in a lineup is now working, and the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know if I want to squeeze them into the lineup right now. Now I know a lot of people have been calling me nuts and all that stuff, but what do you think?
Well, Harper comes back. I mean, you're taking out Otto Kemp. You're taking out, whoever. Maybe, Bohm's hitting really well now, so I guess Bohm would stay at third. Kemp goes to the bench, maybe goes to left field if Kepler's not playing well. I don't know. But Harper comes back. Harper's playing. I mean, we can see what this team is. Right now, they're doing okay without him, but it's kind of like last year when they didn't have Trey Turner for a little while, and Emmanuel Sosa did really well. When guys stepped in, they did well. But if you had to deal with them on the long term, more than a month or so, it might become a bigger problem. Now, Aaron Nola, if you asked me this a few weeks back, I would have probably told you I think this was a get your brain right type moment. But, I actually had the opportunity on Wednesday to talk to a few medical professionals over at Football Stories with Dr. Sean McMillan. And I forget the other doctor who joined him. He was new. I'm going to blank on his name. I apologize. But, this rib issue that he's having could explain a lot of his problems. He tried to pitch through it, and it affects everything. It affects the way you throw. It affects the way how hard you can throw. It affects your mobility. It affects the way you come down on your foot. Whenever he moves and jolts himself, it's causing him pain, which then could be a reason a guy would drop in velocity like Aaron Nola did. So I'm not off on the Aaron Nola train as much as everybody else was. I'm not getting as worried at this point that Aaron Nola is, just woke up one day and aged 20 years. Look at Zach Wheeler now. Maybe mileage wise, he probably has a little bit more mileage than Zach Wheeler because Zach Wheeler had a lot of injury issues in the beginning of his career when he was a Met. So, Zach Wheeler might be chronologically older, but from a baseball standpoint, he might be a little younger in some essence. But I think a little bit the mental, if it went physical to mental, I think feeling it now based on the type of injury they're talking about, I feel more physical than mental. But they go hand in hand because if you physically can't do it, it becomes a mental problem.
Oh yeah, right, and that's like I said. Maybe that's what's been really, the scenes behind the curtain is that he's been dealing with these lingering issues. And but I just feel like a lot of people felt, they saw this with Ranger Suarez last year when he got hit in that hitting hand. He wasn't the same either. So they kept him in bubble wrap for a good majority of the summer. So I wonder if they're going to do the same thing with Nola. But if Nola is banged up more than they thought, and they thought they hit, the expert, he was going to be back into this lineup, well, maybe they just fooled themselves. So we got to see what happens moving forward. And like I said, though, because I said I know I was trying to get in, my conversation, but I was dealing with some internet issues, some difficulties. But like I said, though, like I get it. Phillies fans are looking at this team, waiting for the others to shoot the job, and I don't think some Philly fans are still bought into this team. They are a good team. They hit a wall. They hit a rough patch last week. We get it. They lost to a bottom feeder. They embarrassed themselves. They
Also, a
need
few
to
bottom
stay.
feeders.
A few, but they need that kick in the pants. Well, now, like I said, I was giving Kevin Long, the hitting coach, the thorn bush, but now I got them as rose petals. Guys like JT Remuto, Max Kepler, Brandon Marsh, Alec Bohm, those guys are making great contact. Great contact. Like Max Kepler just came out of nowhere this week. 5 hits, 2 home runs, 2 doubles. I mean, that kid is making a tremendous adjustment in his game.
Well,
Brandon Marsh, same thing.
Max Kepler got a lot of heat coming here because everybody expects the Phillies to come in and throw another, big bat, another big name like a Juan Soto and coming into the season. And the Phillies couldn't do it, shouldn't have done it. And I was okay with a Max Kepler type signing. I would have liked to seen some more bullpen pieces with the pieces that we lost wasn't completely happy with the offseason maneuvering, but at the same time, I wasn't completely unhappy with it because I didn't think they needed a big bopper. I didn't think they needed another big name, another big contract because
Right.
they have them and they have guys with ability like Trey Turner, who a lot of people are on his case about. I mean, he's been over 300 most of this season and staying over 300. So, I mean, Max Kepler was kind of a risky play, a guy who has capabilities, who's been known to have abilities in the past, but also had injuries recently, and they're hoping to get a healthier Max Kepler in a new home, in a new place, clean slate him, and see how he does. Nooms is saying Cubs are meh. I don't expect them to be up top in September, but I'm glad to see more players contributing in the W's. So in the Central, I expect the Cubs to be there. I mean, unless they have a fall off, but I mean, St. Louis might be the only team that can give them a bid for the NL Central, but the Brewers too. I mean, they're right behind them. I think the Cubs are better than meh. I think we're kind of downplaying them. They have some guys on their team I would have liked to see the Phillies bring in. You know what I'm saying? Like there is guys on that team I would have loved to see. I would have been more happier with the Phillies brought them in than the Cubs. So I'm not going to call them meh. But you also listen. There's also times you play teams that make a difference. I mean, you think the Pirates weren't excited to hit the Phillies on a down, because if they hit the Phillies on hot, they would have been pummeled. You know what I mean? Like, so it's also about when you hit guys. So you get to play the Cubs when the Cubs are a hot team. Then you're playing a hot team Cubs. Now, what they are in September, say they, kind of hit a lull like the Phillies did last year and go 500 for the rest of the season, then yeah, they're mad then. But my point is you're playing them now. So you beat a hot team when you're down. I mean, this team seemed dejected. We were dejected, and we had the same feeling that this Phillies team did. So take it for what it's worth.
And you know what, too, Al? Like, if you go back yesterday's game, Friday's game in this series, did you see one of the big things that stood out to you? And you probably did. Is the way. Again, I'm going to go back to the offense. They are working pitchers. Kevin Kuzman, Grossman. They worked him. They worked him to full counts majority of the time, and they were, paying dividends. Some of these guys were getting walks. Some of these guys were hitting around. They were getting hit. They really worked that kid, and he was one of the better pitchers in the league. And the Phillies offense were working on getting the pitches they wanted, making great contact. Like I mentioned, the supporting cast, Max Kepler, JT Realmuto is starting to see the ball well. Brandon Marsh is starting to hit the ball well. Alec Bohm has been sensational. So, Al, I'm going to ask you right now, outside of Trey Turner, is there anyone in this lineup that's an all-star to you? And maybe Kyle Schwarber?
I mean, Kyle Schwarber kind of hurt himself probably over the last couple of weeks. He finally just started hitting the ball hard again. But I could see him still being an all-star bid. Bryce obviously is out of it. Max Kepler's a no. Alec Bohm, I mean, maybe for his turnaround, but I doubt he'd make the all-star team. Nick Castellanos, nah. No. JT not at this point. Stott not at this point. Marsh not at this point. So, no. To be honest with you, maybe Harper. I mean, not Harper. Maybe Schwarber, Trey, Wheeler.
Wheeler will be in there. I think Wheeler. Schwarber, Turner.
I don't know how much. If Jesus Luzardo didn't have those two clunkers, that really bad 2-game stretch, he'd probably be in there.
Right. And guys, this is the It's a Wrap Sports Network. Please give us a like, follow. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and for my TikTok followers, please go to It's a Wrap Sports YouTube to check into the conversation with me and my man Al. So anyway, guys,
hold on 1 second. I want to talk about this for a second. So Nooms is saying Otto Kemp has had a few moments, but he's really just been quadruple A out of the box.
No, see, go ahead. You want to get this because because me and Noobs talked about this on Friday because Noobs was noticing that he was swinging at splitters off Kyle Kuzman's pitches. This guy Kyle Grossman was throwing cutters and splitters down the low and Otto Kemp was chasing him, but it wasn't just Otto Kemp that was chasing him. It was Nick Castellanos. Couple other guys were chasing low pitches, and that was one of their downfalls. But I think right now in Otto Kemp, you got a kid who has a couple pops in his lineup, He's looked pretty decent. I think you need to keep him around, and I can't say he's a quadruple player just yet. Again, we just got a really, really tiny sample size of the kid,
and it's not just the sample size; he came into a rough moment. I mean, we expected this guy to come in and save this team from what? Like, that's my point. Like, what are we expecting him to do? To come up and be the savior to a team that was struggling mightily. But I mean, I worried about this a little bit too, Nooms. I worried about if Otto Kemp didn't come up and look really good, that his trade value, without him playing in the majors, his trade value was worth something. I mean, now that he's up here again in a very couple weeks sample size, it's hard to make any decisions off of him right now. You have to give the guy a chance before. He didn't come out like gangbusters or anything like that. And plus, trust me, I would have loved to see that. I don't know if I could put him in the quadruple A box just yet, like a Darren Ruff type box yet. But to me, it's just we haven't got exactly what we were hoping, but we also put him into a very, very tough situation with the way the Phillies are struggling.
Right, the Phillies have been struggling. Like I said, they turned things around. And now you got Wheeler on the hill today again, 6-2. Does he get the W? Did they get the clean slate today? Did they sweep up the Blue Jays today, Al?
They should.
Oh, what's
they
up
absolutely
there, Freddie
should.
Burns? Happy Father's Day, sir.
They absolutely should. Will they is a different question. Like I said, I hope they don't get in the whole getaway game. And this is the type of game that they need to take. And I'll tell you why. It's not about beating Blue Jays. It's not about sweeping the series. It's about bucking the trend, Pat. And what I mean by bucking the trend is a lot of times we would expect that. We would expect this team to kind of come out. They won the series, a little lackluster. They have to go to Miami. It's Father's Day, so they want to probably get done, go home, maybe see their kids or something for a minute before they have to jump on a plane and get to Miami for a 6:40 start tomorrow. I believe it's 6:40.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a 6:40 start tomorrow, so that's even earlier than here, 5 minutes early, but still earlier. So that means they have to get traveled and be there now, 2-hour flight. So it depends. They might leave in the morning for all I know. I don't know how it works, but this is definitely a day that can happen. Something like that very much can happen. It would be normally easily written off as that. This is a time I think they need to buck the trend. They need to say, no, we're here. We're hyper focused. Father's Day is great. It's great to celebrate, but today is a day we need to win first and then celebrate second. We need to show that this team is all about the wins. We're not just kind of lazily kind of floating through the season, waiting to get to the postseason. That's exactly what happened last year. And what happened? They got to the postseason and they were so cold and they were so out of winning shape, I call it. They got shelled. They got shellacked by a lesser team in my eyes. I'm sorry. I know it's a Mets team and they have some good players on them, but they were a lesser team compared to the Phillies on paper. And they beat us and they made us look silly. This team looked like they couldn't do anything. So they today needs to be a day that trend gets bucked and bucked hard.
Hey now, no, but listen, I'm with you. So there's Adam Cisa says so they're starting to hit better and driving runs. Do you think Kevin Long changes anything to help this time? I don't know. Sometimes I'm going to go with this, Adam. I think sometimes they're a little aggressive. Sometimes they could be a little too aggressive, just swinging at anything that comes across the plate, whether it's down low, up high, inside. So I think there has to be a happy medium of know when to swing that bat and when to be aggressive and not be aggressive. You can't go go after every changeup that comes across the plate. You have to be patient. And I think this is where this team is being right now, being the best disciplined Phillies lineup I've seen in a long time. So go ahead.
Well, the answer to that is you have to give Kevin Long props when he's doing well, when they're doing better.
Yeah. Yes.
As much as you have to, we roast them. Like that's what this fickle fan base does. We could win 10 games in a row, but if they're not good teams or wasn't by 15 runs, we're not going to want to hear it. They're still they get lucky when this team isn't hitting well. Fire Kevin Long, but when they start getting back on pace, you got to give him his credit at the very least. I mean, I don't know if he did or did not. Noom's saying it's amazing how technology plays into pitch tipping these days. Yeah, absolutely. Fred wants to know, curious, does Al X-ray vision with those glasses, or is he going blind? Actually, it's neither. These are blue light glasses from all the bright lights to keep the shadowing out. So it helps filter the bright light. So thank you. They need to go into hot in September. We go down this road every year. No, I mean, I think that's any team. I mean, the Mets were good this year, or good in the postseason last year for the most part, because they got hot at the right time. That team was cold for most of the year. Mm-hmm. So no, it's absolutely, you can't. It's a tricky balance in baseball, Fred. It really is. 162 games. You don't want to like sprint the whole way because when you get there, you're going to be exhausted. But you also don't want to lollygag too much. Like you can't get beat and then harp on it. You can't get beat a lot like they did in harp on. You got to be able to short-term memory it and come back and have guys step up when other guys are struggling, because that was always a complaint that I've heard. Our boy Ryan Swope would be on here a lot saying that, like, this team, just when one struggles, they all struggle. And there's talking about bucking trends. That's a trend that needs to be bucked, and we've seen it in a tiny 6-7 game sample size recently, but that's a step in the right direction. Do you guys think the Phillies are showcasing Nick Gable as a trade piece? It's a good question, Fuge. I could say yes to that very easily. It's tough to say. Is the Aaron Nola thing going to linger? Because that will change any trading of any starting pitcher.
Yeah. That's what I'm biting the ball on that one, because I don't know if they want to do that. I don't think. Yes, is he playing well? Can he up his price a little bit? Shine, look really good, and all those things. But again, if I, yes, could you use another pop in the lineup? Of course, but I think they're going to keep him around. If best case scenario, Nola comes back, look like the shell of him old self, you put Mick Abel to the bullpen, and really help you out in October.
And
But
to be honest with you, add to that, I honestly think Ranger would be traded more than Mick Abel.
really,
Mick's young. Mick is got a lot more contract ahead of him. Has a lot more upside in longevity wise. Ranger is on his last year of his contract. He's going to command a lot of money that the Phillies probably won't be able to pitch it to throw him next year. So I think if they're hoping he gets right, so then you have, and say if Nola is healthy, you have Wheeler, Nola, Abel, Sanchez, and then if you trade him, is it Walker? Is it Painter? Which I'm still not putting any eggs in the Painter basket until I see anything. Like Painter happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like I'm not like a lot of people are like they're banking on that. I'm not, but I think unless somebody offers a haul and what we need, I honestly think Ranger Suarez would get a team probably more excited, especially a team trying to make a run. Who do you want in a playoff run? Mick Abel or Ranger Suarez? You want Ranger Suarez if you're worried about the now, if you're worried about the today, and that's what guys are looking to do.
right, and
this team starting pitching wise is set up better this season with Nola injury than last season with Suarez injury. Yeah, well, I mean, the problem last year again, Mike, is remember like we had the fifth day we had nobody, right? Taijuan Walker was a lot worse last year and the years before that than he was this year. You put Ty Walker on, I mean, it's a little bit nerve wracking, but not like last year. Last year was like an automatic loss. It was a giant L before the game started, and even the team played like that. That was the difference too. When the team, when you had to start Walker last year, the team played like that. You saw them swinging at some heavy, like just trying to win the game in one fail swing. So it's a little different this year. So you have a little bit more depth in the 5-man rotation and options. So that's the big difference there. Not just Nola versus Ranger.
And I don't agree with you, Will. I think because when you had guys like Walker come up to play, everyone's already inside their minds when the shoe's going to drop for this guy. So these guys at the plate are overly aggressively swinging the bat, swinging that stuff that was in the dirt, and making some terrible decisions. But now you got a still one of the best rotations in baseball where the lineup is able to do their part, get things right, make the quick adjustments, and get things right again. So again, yes, we all know in baseball it's when you could be cold in April, May. That doesn't mean anything. You can turn things around, or you can stay down. It's that's what we love about this sport. So again, I'm a true believer. I think the Phillies are going to get things right today. Like you said, I think they're going to go home for a little bit, get back up, go to South Beach, and then get ready face off in prime time against the Mets. So
yeah, well, they need to. I mean, like I said, they need to buck that trend.
How that plays out.
Yeah, they definitely need to buck the trend. Noom says Dave Dombrowski believes in these prospects. Noom, expand upon that, because what do you mean? He believes that they're going to be trade pieces. He believes they're going to be the future of the Phillies. Because that's usually going against Dave Dombrowski's normal. But Freddie Burns is kind of commenting against you, I guess, a little bit here, Pat. Sensational. Bohm has been what we expected him to be. And I agree with that. I will give Bohm the credit where he came out flat. Like, we thought he was, like, gone. We're all ready to drive him. Pat, you're breaking up again,
right,
buddy.
Listen, he just I'm just admitting.
All right, hold on one second, Pat. I'm going to drop you out for a second. You're really kind of breaking up here. So yeah, Fred, I'll agree with you. In the sense that he is what we're supposed to be. I'm just going to give him a little credit because, guy, like, especially with him, because he can be a head case. I mean, that's a big problem with him. He could be a head case, and then he could have been done this season. He could have been worthless, and that we wouldn't be able to get anything for him even if we wanted to trade him or whatever. So the guy really has come on since being like a sub 200. So I'll give him that much. But yeah, no, I agree with you more in the sense that he's supposed to be playing the way he should be. And what the fact, I love that he's not trying to hit for power. I think that was one of the big problems with Alec Boehm. He was like trying to be in the power hitters club with the Phillies, and that I think was causing some problems because he was getting some early power hitting success, and then boom, here you go. And I think Pat's backpack. How we doing, Pat?
Good. I'm good. I feel
Uh,
great. I'm ready to play.
okay.
So
Only All Stars of the Phillies are Wheeler, Schwarber, Turner. Yeah, I think we all agree with that. Maybe they had to bring him up to request a trade part per request of a trade partner. So I guess Fred's saying Otto Kemp. So maybe that, or maybe nobody was really. They thought nobody was going to come to the phones with any real offers for Otto Kemp unless he came up. And the timing does make Fred. You make a good point. I hate saying those words, but the timing does make sense because it gives them a solid 6 to 8 weeks of more 6 weeks, I guess, of time to see what he has between now and the trade deadline. So you could be onto something. I don't know if a direct trade partner or they thought they had to bring him up or nobody was really going to offer
well,
them much at
listen,
that point.
it was kind of desperate times. It was kind of the right time to. You just lost Bryce Harper, right? And what we've heard, Dave Dombrowski's been hanging out in Piggyland, right? And getting the word that this kid's been hitting the cover off the ball, swinging the bat well. This was the perfect time to bring him up and put him in this lineup. And listen, he could have been possibly a trade bait part, but Dave Dombrowski gave him a shot to bring him up, and so far, so good.
Power prediction. Now we're all sold on Boom, who played a half a good season last year and tanked it in the second half. Got benched in a playoff game and still stunk. Then comes out this season, still stunk it up, and recently he's hitting. I mean, that's the problem. I mean, he's inconsistent. I mean, like we've talked about this about Nick Castellanos, like a guy who could be cold, swinging at everything. It's his emotional state that really scares me, Mike, and I think hurts us from a trade standpoint.
And listen, he's got look. I get it too, right? He's known for throwing the helmet, slamming the bat. He has the fire in him, right? He's angry every time he does terrible at the plate. But you got to understand though, like, and listen, if anyone on that in that lineup is the whipping boy, it's Alec Bohm, right? Who is the guy who got sent down in the bottom part of the lineup? Alec Bohm. And you know what he's done since then? He's adjusted, he's turned things around, and he's making great contact. Yes, this is the player who we signed up for. And now he's up back on the top part of the lineup, and he's still producing. So again, I get it. He's not the most likable guy in the lineup. He's the whipping boy. He's the guy when everything goes wrong gets a point at and saying why. But no, everything's been right with him so far. Everything right
Yeah.
now. And he's been playing baseball silently, I guess, for 6 straight weeks of baseball. Ever since he got bumped down to the lineup, he's turned things around.
Noom saying, I just hope Crawford isn't Ben Revere. I don't think it works out that way, but I would like to find out sooner rather than later. Yeah, I mean, I think Dominic Brown. I think a lot of guys like that. That's why, like, I'm excited. I'm higher on Crawford than probably most prospects coming up recently. But I would like to find out rather sooner rather than later. And I really would. I don't know what they're doing, why they're doing this.
I got I'm not gonna like I said, we'll see what happens. I'm gonna shift gears a little bit, Al.
Okay.
I got to pick your mind. So I want to talk about the Philadelphia
Uh-oh.
Eagles. Yes, I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and
Go
and the
Birds.
reason. Go Birds, but I want to know what you're feeling with this team currently because again, I'm doing some research and I see the Cowboys and it says Dak is entering his 10th year. He's focused on winning the Super Bowl. So with Brian Schottenheimer being the Cowboys head coach, I'm hearing it's a great atmosphere down there. I'm hearing the boys are having fun. They're trying to stay off the radar. Does that scare you? And how challenging now is going to be the NFC East for the Eagles?
Listen, every year challenges continue. But for the Dallas Cowboys, I can't say anything. Are they making the quiet right moves on June 15th, 2025 of just keeping under the radar? Sure. Why not? I mean, Dak Prescott, does he scare me? No. Does the Dallas Cowboys scare me? No. They still made a lot of dumb moves. Does Schottenheimer scare me? No. It's just same dumb moves after another. And it's a team that's been who has been full of themselves more than proving themselves over the last decade or longer. Okay, they've come out, kind of like people complain about the Phillies in some ways. Um, they are, how do I put this? They are a paper tiger in the beginning. They come out and they play really well against sub teams or teams early on in the season, but when really they have to play a good team or play a tough time, and the lights are bright, they don't shine. And Dak Prescott, a lot of people like I don't dislike Dak Prescott. I think he'd be a good quarterback. I think he is a good quarterback, but that's it. A good quarterback. I don't understand the Dak Prescott love. Like, what has he done? Every chance, every opportunity that he has had to win or be part of a big moment, he has failed. And he's failed miserably.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, again, like, I get it. And you've heard me mention this more ways than one. Like, the way I look at Dak, in some ways, I look at a Joel Embiid. There's a lot of talent there. There's a lot, right? He can't stay healthy, number one. And number two, when it comes playoff time, he's out of gas. And, in football, the number one problem, or number two, if it ain't the head coach, it's the quarterback. And he doesn't, I've seen him fail come playoff time. I've seen him take the Cowboys to the second round and choke on multiple games. So again, I don't know if they scare you or not, but like I said, I do look at this NFC.
They're least on my worry list. They're the least on my worry list in 2025.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. So again, I look at this. I looked at the NFC East kind of being a little challenging because at some point I would imagine the Giants are going to go with Jackson Dart, their QB, bringing in the
again. The Giants kind of fall into that trash organization right now. Until they prove me otherwise, I don't fear anything they throw out there. They bring some players in good spots, but they surround them with garbage, and they just don't seem to develop players well. And the coaching is suspicious at best. Suspect, whatever term you want to use.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be a step better than they were last year, but they don't have a quarterback. Who's their quarterback? They don't know. And we don't know what Dart's going to be. We don't know. We don't listen. Don't tell me who.
No, I'm not bought on. I'm not bought into Russell Wilson either. I don't.
Russell Wilson. The old saying is "Let Russ cook." Russ is cooked. Is my new saying, and he's been cooked. And this is where players go to die. Okay, I hate to say it that way, but this is like Cleveland used to be that for me, where players go to kill their careers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Giants organization has turned into that. It really has. Like, and nobody really comes. I mean, how many guys, good guys? Saquon Barkley is right there. Like guys who are, look how good. It shows you how good Saquon is that he was able to play as well as he did for a team as bad as they were on a turf.
1 year.
And yeah, for 1 year, and for an O line that's horrible. So, I'm not sold on any of them. And Washington is the only team I'm really kind of sold on at this point. And I got to see how they respond in year two. Do they take a step backwards? Do they take a step forward? I mean, all indication is forward, but sophomore slumps do happen. We'll see. Nooms is hell bent against Jair Alexander coming to the Eagles. He said he has Cowboys written all over him. Now it's his injury prone and he's not coming here because the Eagles aren't going to want to pay him unless he comes here for a prove it deal. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about Jair Alexander.
Yeah, it's funny because I believe Mike wants him too. I'm worried about the Commanders at this point. Yeah, look, a lot of people are, right. A lot of people think that the Commanders can challenge the Eagles for the division, and that might be the rivalry for quite some time in the near future. So again, and I looked at each four teams, and I looked at I would look at 5 games for all of them, and this because 5 games in kind of indicates whether the team's going to be good, bad. The Eagles kind of turned their season around, going 2-2, and they we all know the story. So I looked at the Commanders. They got the Giants, Packers, Raiders, Falcons, and Chargers. That to me doesn't scare alarming of a start of a schedule. That could put them somewhat in the driving seat of that division. What do you think there, Al?
Wait, say it again. Giants. or
No, that's the Commander schedules.
the command.
Commanders first five games. Giants, Packers, Raiders, Falcons, Chargers.
Giants, no, not a bad. They're a bad team. The Packers, yeah, they'll be a tough one. Listen, the first 4 weeks of the season are hard to tell. How many times? I mean, we always call it preseason plus, as I call it, like just moving forward. It's that a lot of these starters haven't played football yet this season until week 1.
Right.
So it's really hard for me to gauge anything. Like take Tampa last year, take the Saints last year. The Saints came out; they were the darlings of the NFL for the first 4 weeks, and then they met the Eagles.
Yeah, and that was it. That's it.
And
You're
now
right.
the Eagles weren't even that good at that point. The Eagles were a bad team at that point.
Right. They were two
So
and
I
two.
mean, yeah, they were a mediocre team at that point. They weren't even that good. So I take the first 4 or 5 games, 4 games, or 3 games especially, but 4 games, 5 games. They should by 4 and 5 they should have their stuff together. But time will tell. But it is a decent way to start the season. I mean, the Eagles, the schedule does not play in their favor.
No, the Eagles' schedule is tough. I mean, again, looking at their first four games, you got the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to probably look to make a statement out the chute. You got the Cowboys, Chiefs, Raiders, and the Bucks. I mean, that's going to be that's a little bit of a gauntlet right out the door.
No, not Raiders, Rams. They have the Rams.
Rams. I'm sorry, Rams,
Yeah.
Bucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, so here's my thing. Just looking at this pick.
Thanks, Diego.
Dallas is Dallas, and again, you're playing them the first game of the season. That go any which way for anybody. And remember, they had about a whole month plus more time to rest than the Eagles did, so they're about 6 weeks ahead of time on the licking their wounds type thing. So I don't look past Dallas on Thursday Night Football on September 4th, but they should win. Then you have Kansas City, that tough Super Bowl rematch. The Rams, everybody's like loves the Rams. I think they're a good team, but they're not a great team. And I just don't understand how people get so excited about them.
I think, like you, I think they're a good team until they play the Eagles.
And Tampa, man, like it always seems to be. Is this where Jalen Hurts finally bucks his trend today? Maybe that's the theme of today's is bucking the trend.
Oh,
that's important. Denver can be a good team. We could find out. I mean, then like I said, you play even though the Giants are a bad team, you play them 2 out of 3 times before your bye week. That doesn't make things easy. Then you come out of the bye week at Green Bay, at Detroit, in Dallas. Chicago could be a decent team by then, and it's a Black Friday game. And then they give you a little cookie with the Raiders on December 14th. But then it's Washington, Buffalo, Washington. I'm saying this does not. But this, I'm not saying that they're going to lose it all.
No, but it's not going to be easy. I mean, this is what happens when you turn to be the Super Bowl champions. You get the hardest schedule, and now we're going to see what this team's really capable of. Can they run it back? Was it a one deal thing? But I just feel different with Jalen Hurts at the helm. Like this guy is not going to be, again, look to be a one hit wonder. I think this kid's for real. If you haven't seen the way he's been playing ball for the past few years, again, this is now his second trip to the Super Bowl. 2 out of 3 years. I think it's going to be great. But speaking of greatness, Al, have you watched any of the Stanley Cup and NHL playoffs or NBA finals, Stanley Cup and NBA finals?
I'll be honest, I've been peeking in, watching some games.
I like last night I was watching a little bit of the Stanley Cup finals. Man, Florida Panthers, again, dynasties getting ready to take off here. Now this is their third trip to the Stanley Cup. This is now, if they win on Tuesday, they can win the whole thing. So they win 2 out of 3. They look like they could take it all. And how about Brad Marchand? Like a farewell tour. Like he got traded from the Boston Bruins, came over there, and man, he's just been playing lights out hockey for the Florida Panthers. Like, I didn't think this guy had anything much left in the tank, and he's taking everything out of the tank. He's he's letting out all the juice, and he's going full gas, no brakes, and he's playing extremely well in the Stanley Cup.
No, he is. He's playing very well, and he's playing like a guy on a mission. Like that's the way you're supposed to play.
He is, man. Brad Marchand is
Brad
playing like a man
Marchand.
on a mission. Brad Marchand is playing like a man on a mission. 6 goals already. 6 goals. I mean, he's just tearing things up for this Florida Panthers. Like I said, this is his farewell tour, and boy, he's giving these guys a show. Yeah. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Marchand is, I mean, as Noom says, he's still a cock, and I'll agree with him on that much. But he is, playing. Sergei Brabowski, thanks, Homer. But it's. I think this is going to go to a 7-game series. I really do. I think it's a 7-game series.
So you think the Oilers come back?
Yep.
I wonder if the Oilers push the 7, they have to win this, but I don't see it happen. I think Florida's because of the Florida Panthers, they're averaging 3 goals a game. Like they squashed the Oilers, and so far in 2 games so far, they won 5-2 last night, and the other night they won 6-1. So it's tough. They got guys who can score. They got, like I said, and like Steve said, they got Big Bob back there. They got Brad Marchand playing like a man on a mission. They got a couple scoring options out there.
So Nooms is definitely feeling bitter about the situations. Sergey will be shining his second cup as Briz still cashes our checks. How many people do we pay to not play hockey? Yeah, well, that's
Alan, that's going to be like my second question. Now you see Serge Big Bob getting possibly his second cup. Now you're going to see TJ McConnell. I know he's just a utility player. I know he's just a bench piece, but still another guy who played under our system. Who and we all know TJ McConnell wasn't the best shooter, but he came up with some amazing steals. Like he was scrappy. He was a pest on the court. And now he's going to help Indiana, who I thought was a good team, but I didn't see this run come out of Indiana.
Rob Havner chiming in. Hey, Rob, he said, great Stanley Cup series. Yeah, and listen, I hate not having the Flyers in it, but playoff hockey, that's the only time I really want to watch playoff anything that's not Philadelphia based sometime. Well, no, that's not true. I watch them all.
No,
but it's like, but playoff hockey, even when the Flyers aren't in it, which is a lot, unfortunately, is fun and it's exciting. And like guys like Marchand, hate him or love him, but he's playing well. He's saying the NBA Finals are great too. A lot of people thought I was nuts to say the Pacers could win this. Maybe I'm not as nuts as I sound. Pat, you went mute. All right, so Pat's mute. But yeah, OKC really swung momentum when Chet Holmgren woke up. True, absolutely. But I honestly think that this is good. I think that goes 7 games as well. And I think the Pacers have a really good chance of upsetting OKC. I really do. And if you said, "Yeah, I'll choose one," I really kind of want. I guess I want Indiana to win this. I kind of am a little swinging towards them to win this. It'd be nice for them to get the first. I know OKC hasn't won as OKC. They won one in Seattle when they were part of Seattle, but Indiana I don't think has won at all. So it'd be nice to see them win it. Plus, McConnell, I guess. It'd be how many people on their punch cards that TJ McConnell, here's a guy. The only reason he's playing for the Sixers is because the Sixers want to lose and he wouldn't play on any other team. Now here's a guy who is playing in a finals and contributing with heart. So like it's pretty crazy. While Pat works this out, I actually have a special treat I was saving up for everybody here. A little Father's Day treat here for everybody. Let me pull this up for you guys. Here's a little bit of a sports blast from the past. Check this one out.
Big punch by Rick. A punch by Frankie. Punch by Feinberg. Punch by Frizzo. Oh. Really? Oh! 2 big clotheslines by Frankie Frizzo with a third. Feinberg whipping Frankie into the corner, going back elbow by Frankie Frizzo. Frankie with a kick to the nads. Hooks him. Double arm sit up face buster. That could be it. 1, 2, 3, and Frankie wins. Frankie Frizzo wins.
Yes.
So, as every night ends for Pat, kick to the nads. A guy's head between his legs and lays on top of him to win it all. So, that is a little Frankie Frizzo. For those who didn't know, Pat, Hall of Fame wrestler.
Yes. A good old
a little Father's Day clip there for you guys to enjoy on this great Father's Day. So, Pat, why don't we wrap it up for everybody for Father's Day? They all want to go. Any last questions? Anything else you want to put there?
One more. I got to ask you, how was the Preston and Steve show?
Oh, yeah. Preston and Steve was amazing. It was fun. Great guys. I was glad to have him. I've been knowing Casey Boy for a little while now. He's always supported. For those guys who don't know, I have another podcast called Delco Live, where I talk about Delco and Delaware County and everything through a Delco point of view. So we finished up Delco Day 10. I don't have the exact amount of money we raised yet. They're still tallying all that up, but we definitely hit over $200,000 for Headstrong over the last 7 years. So that's pretty awesome. But Preston Steve invited us in. We did the Delco, the Delconia of the Decade or Delco Legend Award, whatever you want to call it. Did it on Tuesday, on June 10th, on the official day of Delco Day. So it was pretty cool. And it's up on Delco Live's Facebook page or YouTube channel, whatever you want to go look at and see me on air. I'll tell you a little funny story about it, though, Pat, real quick. I take medicine that sometimes can make me super, like, burpy and fart gassy, just super gassy. And
all right, of course, my norm.
Yes, of course that acts up that morning. I am chewing on Gas X and peppermint and all this stuff. That's why if you watch the video, I don't talk as much as I normally would have.
Right.
If I said more than maybe a sentence or two, I would have belched pure sulfur in Preston Elliott's face and probably knocked him out in the middle of the thing.
Right. So, well, the backside. The backside was doing a lot of talking then.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I got you. So yeah, man, it was pretty cool. I got to meet those guys some time back. But listen, like you said, though, it is Father's Day. Let's wrap it up here. So, guys, again, check out me. You know, all the It's a Rep Sports Network shows. We got Matty B coming in for the Phillies post-game show here on the Fight Finals. And then we got like a lot more content coming up. Of course, we got Phillies, post-game shows out through the course of the week. And then we have the Attacking Third Thursday nights with me, 9 o'clock, me and Steve Fernandez. You got the
Steve Fernandez.
Yes, I got a Dutch accent. And then we got 10:30s with me Friday nights on the wraparound. And then, of course, we got me, PM and the AM. Your signs will never be the same. And it looks like we're going to be starting, we're going to be we have some things coming in the works. We're working on a couple things here. So, guys, stay tuned. Stay, locked in. So, guys, have a great Father's Day. Oh, Adam, I forgot. What is on the Father's Day menu? We're probably going to do some pasta over here.
There's a shock. I'm going to go have breakfast with my kids. They made breakfast for me. So that's where I'm jumping into right now. So other than that, guys, check out all the It's a Wrap on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, or TikTok, or whatever the heck else we're on. It's all been scrolling at the bottom here. Instagram. But other than that, Pat, you have a great Father's Day. I'm going to head out. Guys, we will see you next time.
See you later, guys.